Have you ever noticed that the longest conversation you industry cabin to life is the one you have with yourself? From the moment you wake up until the moment you fall asleep, there is a voice constantly speaking inside your mind. That voice is either building your future or quietly destroying it. The truth is, your life doesn't begin with your circumstances. It begins with your words. Before the world calls you successful or unsuccessful, confident or insecure, wealthy or broke, your own mouth has already been making that decision. Many people spend years trying to change their lives while never changing the language they use to describe themselves. They say, "I'm just not smart enough. I'll never be successful. Nothing good ever happens to me. I always fail." They think these are harmless statements, but they are actually instructions they are giving to their own minds. Your brain is always listening. It takes your repeated words as truth and begins looking for evidence to support them. If you constantly tell yourself that you're a failure, your mind will notice every mistake and ignore every victory. But when you tell yourself that you're growing, learning, and becoming stronger every day, your mind begins searching for opportunities instead of excuses. Think about it this way. A seed doesn't become a tree overnight. It grows because it is planted, watered, and protected consistently. In the same way, every word you speak to yourself is a seed planted in your mind. Negative words produce doubt. Positive words produce confidence. Fearful words produce hesitation. Faith-filled words produce courage. Whatever you plant repeatedly is eventually what you harvest. Some people are waiting for someone else to believe in them before they believe in themselves. They're waiting for a boss to recognize them, a family member to encourage them, or friends to support their dreams. But the most important belief you'll ever receive is the belief you give yourself. If you don't trust yourself, why should anyone else? If you don't see value in yourself, how can you expect the world to? Your identity is not created by your past. It is not determined by your failures, your bank account, your education, or the opinions of people who never understood your purpose. Your identity is shaped by what you consistently choose to believe and declare about yourself. Every great achievement begins with a decision that says, "I am capable. I am learning. I can grow. I can overcome." Instead of saying, "I can't do this," start saying, "I haven't mastered it yet, but I'm improving every day." Instead of saying, "I'm unlucky," say, "Opportunities are finding me because I'm preparing for them." Instead of saying, "I'll never change," declare, "Every day I'm becoming a stronger, wiser, and more disciplined person." These aren't empty motivational phrases. They are a commitment to a new identity. Your words should describe the person you're becoming, not the person you're trying to leave behind. Look at successful people in every field. Before they achieved extraordinary results, they first developed extraordinary beliefs. Long before others saw their potential, they saw it themselves. They refused to let temporary failures define a permanent identity. They understood that losing an opportunity doesn't make you a loser. Making a mistake doesn't make you a failure. Falling down doesn't mean you have to stay down. They kept speaking hope when circumstances suggested giving up. For the next 3 days, pay close attention to every sentence you speak about yourself. Every time you're tempted to say something negative, stop. Replace it with words that reflect growth, purpose, and possibility. Train your mind to expect progress instead of defeat. Speak life instead of limitation. Speak courage instead of fear. Speak abundance instead of lack. The more you repeat these words with conviction and back them up with action, the more your identity begins to change. Remember this, the person you become tomorrow is being shaped by the words you speak today. Change your inner conversation, and you'll begin to change your decisions. Change your inner conversation, and you'll begin to change your habits. Change your habits, and you'll change your future. Everything starts with the voice you hear the most, your own. Fear has a unique way of speaking to us. It doesn't usually shout, it whispers. It tells you that you're not ready, that you'll fail, that people will laugh at you, that you're too late, too inexperienced, or too ordinary to accomplish anything meaningful. The dangerous part is that fear often sounds reasonable. It disguises itself as caution while quietly stealing your confidence. If you listen to it long enough, you'll begin to mistake fear for reality. The greatest battles in life are rarely fought on the outside. They are fought in the mind, where two voices compete for your attention every single day. One voice says, "What if it doesn't work?" The other asks, "What if it does?" One says, "You're not enough." The other says, "You are growing every day." One focuses on problems, while the other searches for possibilities. The voice you choose to believe becomes the direction your life follows. Faith is not pretending that difficulties don't exist. Faith is choosing to believe that your current circumstances do not have the final word. It is the confidence that today's struggle is preparing you for tomorrow's success. Every successful person has faced moments when the odds were against them. The difference is that they refused to let fear become their narrator. They learned to replace fearful thoughts with words that inspired action. Too many people wake up every morning rehearsing everything that could go wrong. They say, business is hard, the economy is bad, nobody will support me, success is for other people. Before they even take the first step, they've already convinced themselves to quit. Your words become the blueprint your mind follows. If you constantly speak defeat, your actions will eventually reflect defeat. But when you speak hope, confidence, and expectation, your mind begins looking for ways to make those words a reality. Think about the people who have achieved extraordinary things. They didn't move forward because they had no fear. They moved forward because their faith became stronger than their fear. They understood that courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act despite it. Every breakthrough requires a moment when you stop listening to doubt and start believing that something greater is possible. Instead of saying, I'm afraid I'll fail, begin saying, every experience is teaching me something valuable. Instead of saying, I don't have what it takes, declare, I can learn, improve, and grow. Instead of saying, the opportunity has passed me by, say, the right opportunities are coming as I prepare myself. These aren't just positive statements. They are declarations that shift your focus from limitation to possibility. Faith also requires patience. Many people give up because they don't see immediate results. They plant the seed today and expect the harvest tomorrow. But every meaningful achievement takes time. The farmer doesn't dig up the seed every morning to check if it's growing. He trusts the process. In the same way, when you're speaking words of faith, don't abandon them just because your circumstances haven't changed yet. Continue speaking with confidence while continuing to work with discipline. Your environment may be filled with people who speak fear. They'll tell you your dreams are unrealistic. They'll remind you of your past mistakes. They'll focus on everything that could go wrong. You cannot always control what others say, but you can control what you allow to take root in your heart. Protect your mind from voices that feed doubt, and intentionally fill it with words that strengthen your belief. For the next 3 days, become intentional about replacing every fearful statement with a faithful one. Every time fear tells you that you're too small, remind yourself that growth begins with small steps. Every time doubt says you're not qualified, remind yourself that every expert was once a beginner. Every time uncertainty tries to stop you, remember that progress belongs to those who keep moving forward. Your future is too valuable to be directed by fear. Speak words that build courage. Speak words that create hope. Speak words that remind you of your purpose. When your words are filled with faith and your actions are backed by discipline, you'll discover that many of the things you once feared were only barriers in your mind. The moment you stop speaking fear and start speaking faith is the moment you begin walking toward the life you've been created to live. One of the biggest reasons people stay stuck is because their words and their purpose are moving in opposite directions. They dream about living an extraordinary life, but they speak like ordinary defeat is their destiny. They pray for opportunities but complain when challenges appear. They say they want success, yet every conversation is filled with doubt, excuses, and limitation. You cannot consistently speak in one direction and expect your life to move in another. Your words must agree with the future you're trying to create. Every great achievement begins with clarity. If you don't know where you're going, your words will be shaped by your emotions instead of your mission. Some days you'll feel confident, and other days you'll feel discouraged. If your language changes every time your feelings change, you'll never build the consistency required for lasting success. Purpose gives your words direction. It reminds you to speak according to your vision, not according to your temporary circumstances. Imagine an airplane preparing for takeoff. Before it leaves the ground, the pilot already knows the destination. During the flight, there may be turbulence, storms, or unexpected delays, but the destination doesn't change. The pilot doesn't abandon the journey because the weather becomes difficult. In the same way, your purpose should become the destination that guides your words. Challenges may come, setbacks may happen, and people may doubt you, but your language should continue reflecting the person you're committed to becoming. Stop calling yourself by names that don't belong to your future. Don't label yourself lazy when you're learning discipline. Don't call yourself a failure because one plan didn't work. Don't describe yourself as unlucky because one opportunity passed you by. Temporary experiences should never become permanent identities. The mistake you made is not your identity. The rejection you faced is not your identity. The delay you're experiencing is not your identity. Speak according to your potential, not your pain. Many people unknowingly sabotage themselves with simple phrases. They say, "I'm terrible with money. I'm always late. I can never stay consistent. I'm just not a leader." At first, these statements seem harmless, but repeated often enough, they become beliefs. Beliefs shape decisions. Decisions create habits, and habits determine your future. If you want a different future, you must first adopt different words. Start describing yourself in a way that aligns with your purpose. If your goal is to become financially successful, begin saying, "I am becoming wise with money. I make thoughtful financial decisions. I create value wherever I go." If your purpose is to become healthier, say, "I respect my body. I choose habits that strengthen me. Every day I'm becoming healthier." If your purpose is to lead others, declare, "I am growing in wisdom, confidence, and influence." These aren't empty affirmations meant to make you feel good for a moment. They are daily reminders of the direction your life is taking. Of course, words alone are never enough. Purpose demands action. Speaking confidently while refusing to work is like planting seeds but never watering them. Your words should inspire your actions, and your actions should reinforce your words. When you repeatedly tell yourself that you're disciplined, you'll begin making decisions that prove it. When you say you're committed to growth, you'll start reading, learning, practicing, and improving. Eventually, your actions catch up with your declarations. There will always be people who try to define you by your past. They'll remind you of who you used to be. They'll point to your failures and tell you that nothing has changed. Don't allow their opinions to become your identity. The people who matter most are not those who describe your past. They are the ones who encourage your future. More importantly, your own voice should become the strongest voice of encouragement you hear every day. Purpose also gives meaning to sacrifice. When you know why you're doing something, it's easier to stay committed when the journey becomes difficult. You stop saying, "This is too hard," and start saying, "This challenge is preparing me." You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin asking, "What is this teaching me?" Your language shifts because your perspective has changed. For the next 3 days, pay close attention to every word you speak about yourself and your future. Ask yourself one simple question before you say anything. Does this sentence move me closer to my purpose, or does it pull me away from it? If it weakens your vision, replace it. If it strengthens your mission, repeat it. Let every word become a step toward the life you're determined to build. Remember, your purpose is too valuable to be undermined by careless words. Speak with intention. Speak with confidence. Speak with expectation. Let your language reflect the future you're preparing for, not the past you're leaving behind. When your words, your beliefs, and your daily actions all move in the same direction, you'll create a momentum that no obstacle can easily stop. Your mind is like fertile ground. Whatever you plant in it consistently will eventually grow. It doesn't matter whether the seed is positive or negative. Your mind responds to repetition. If you repeatedly tell yourself that you're weak, incapable, or destined to fail, your subconscious accepts those messages as facts. But if you consistently feed your mind with words of strength, purpose, discipline, and faith, it begins to build a new way of thinking. The quality of your life is often determined by the quality of the thoughts you'd feel, your subconscious the most. Most people underestimate the power of repetition because they expect transformation to happen overnight. They say one encouraging sentence to themselves, then wonder why nothing changes. But think about how you learned to read, write, walk, or ride a bicycle. None of those skills were mastered in a single day. They became part of your life through repeated practice. In the same way, a confident mindset isn't created in one powerful moment. It is built through thousands of repeated thoughts and intentional words. The truth is that your subconscious mind doesn't become convinced by intensity. It becomes convinced by consistency. A single motivational speech may inspire you for an hour, but the words you speak to yourself every day determine the direction of your life. That's why so many people feel motivated on Monday and discouraged by Friday. They rely on occasional inspiration instead of daily repetition. Inspiration starts the journey, but repetition keeps you moving until success becomes your new normal. Consider the habits you have today. Many of them weren't formed because you made one big decision. They were created by small actions repeated over and over again. If you brush your teeth every morning, you don't stop to debate whether you should do it. It has become automatic. That's the power of repetition. Your mind has accepted it as part of your identity. Imagine applying that same principle to confidence, discipline, gratitude, and success. Instead of forcing yourself to think positively, positive thinking becomes your natural response. Unfortunately, repetition works both ways. Some people unknowingly rehearse failure every single day. They wake up saying, "I'm tired. Life is unfair. Nothing ever changes. I'll never get ahead." They repeat these sentences so often that they stop questioning them. Their minds begin filtering every experience through those beliefs. Even when opportunities appear, they overlook them because their minds have been programmed to expect disappointment. Now imagine replacing those old patterns with new ones. Every morning, look in the mirror and declare, "I am becoming stronger every day. I have the ability to learn, adapt, and overcome. I create value wherever I go. I am disciplined enough to finish what I start. Challenges are making me wiser, not weaker." At first, these words may feel unfamiliar because they were competing with years of negative programming. But don't stop. Every repetition weakens the old belief and strengthens the new one. Think about athletes preparing for a championship. They don't practice a winning movement once and expect greatness. They repeat it hundreds, sometimes thousands of times until it becomes second nature. Musicians rehearse the same piece repeatedly until every note flows effortlessly. Great speakers practice their messages again and again before stepping onto the stage. Excellence is never accidental. It is the result of disciplined repetition. If repetition can create champions in sports, music, and business, it can also create a champion's mindset. This is why the next 3 days matter. 3 days won't completely transform your life, but they can interrupt the cycle of negative thinking and begin building a new mental foundation. Every time an old limiting thought appears, refuse to entertain it. Replace it immediately with a stronger thought. If your mind says, "I can't," answer with, "I'm learning." If it says, "I'm too late," reply, "The right time is the time I choose to begin." Don't let negative thoughts stay long enough to take root. Your environment also plays a significant role in repetition. Be mindful of what you watch, what you listen to, and who you spend time with. If you're constantly surrounded by negativity, criticism, and hopelessness, those messages will naturally repeat in your mind. Instead, fill your environment with books that challenge you, messages that inspire you, conversations that encourage growth, and people who believe that improvement is always possible. What enters your ears repeatedly will eventually influence what comes out of your mouth. Remember that repetition isn't about pretending life is perfect. It's about training your mind to respond with purpose instead of panic. Problems will still come, obstacles will still appear, but instead of automatically expecting defeat, you'll begin expecting solutions. Instead of seeing barriers, you'll start looking for opportunities. Your thinking becomes stronger because you've intentionally practiced strength. Every successful life is built on repeated choices, repeated discipline, repeated learning, repeated gratitude, repeated courage, and above all, repeated belief. The words you repeat today become the beliefs you carry tomorrow, and those beliefs become the actions that shape your future. So don't underestimate the power of saying the right things to yourself every single day. Your mind is always listening, always learning, and always becoming what you repeatedly tell it to be. If you can change what you repeat, you can change the person you become. Words are powerful, but words alone will never change your life. You can repeat positive affirmations every morning, declare your goals with confidence, and tell yourself that success is coming, but if your actions never change, your results won't change either. Your words are meant to lead your actions, not replace them. The purpose of speaking life into yourself is to create the courage and clarity to do the work that follows. There are people who love the sound of success, but avoid the price of success. They talk about becoming financially free, yet never learn new skills. They speak about getting healthy, yet continue making unhealthy choices every day. They say they want a better future, but they keep repeating the same habits that created their current situation. Hope without action becomes disappointment. Faith without movement remains incomplete. Every powerful declaration should be followed by a meaningful decision. Imagine standing at the bottom of a mountain and saying, "I'm going to reach the top." That's a great statement. It creates direction and commitment. But after making that declaration, you still have to take the first step. The mountain doesn't move because you spoke confidently. It is climbed one step at a time. In the same way, Your dreams are not achieved through intention alone. They are achieved through daily, consistent action. Many people wait until they feel confident before they begin. They think, once I stop being afraid, then I'll start my business. Once I feel motivated, then I'll wake up early. Once everything is perfect, then I'll take action. But confidence isn't something you wait for, it is something you build. Every small action you complete sends a message to your mind that says, I keep my promises to myself. Over time, that message becomes part of your identity. Think about a builder constructing a house. Before anyone sees the beautiful walls or the finished roof, countless hours are spent laying the foundation. It's slow, it's repetitive. Sometimes it feels like nothing is happening, but every brick placed correctly makes the structure stronger. Your daily actions work the same way. Reading 10 pages of a book may not seem life-changing today. Saving a small amount of money may not seem impressive this week. Exercising for 30 minutes may not transform your body overnight. But repeated consistently, these small actions create extraordinary results. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that success comes from one massive breakthrough. In reality, success is usually the result of hundreds of small decisions made consistently. It's choosing discipline over distraction, learning instead of complaining, preparing instead of procrastinating, showing up even when you don't feel like it. Great lives are rarely built in dramatic moments. They are built through ordinary actions repeated with extraordinary consistency. Your actions also reveal what you truly believe. It's easy to say, I believe I can succeed. But if you never apply for the opportunity, never study, never practice, and never take the risk, your actions are telling a different story. Your feet will always expose what your mouth is pretending to believe. Genuine belief produces movement. When you truly believe your future can be different, you'll start making choices that align with that future. There will be days when motivation disappears. That's normal. Motivation is emotional, and emotions change. Some mornings you'll wake up excited, while other mornings you'll feel tired and discouraged. This is where discipline becomes more valuable than motivation. Discipline says, I'll do it anyway. It reminds you that your commitment is greater than your mood. Successful people don't win because they always feel inspired. They win because they continue taking action long after the excitement fades. For the next 3 days, challenge yourself to let every positive statement be followed by a positive action. If you say, I'm becoming healthier, then choose a healthy meal or go for a walk. If you declare, I'm becoming financially wise, then read about money management or save instead of spending unnecessarily. If you tell yourself, I'm becoming more disciplined, then complete the task you've been avoiding. Let your actions become evidence that your words are sincere. Don't worry about making giant leaps. Focus on making consistent steps. A small action completed today is more valuable than a perfect plan delayed until tomorrow. Progress always defeats procrastination. Every time you act, you strengthen your confidence. Every time you keep your word to yourself, you build trust in your own character. Eventually, you stop wondering whether you can succeed, because you've developed a history of proving it through action. Remember, your future isn't created by what you intend to do someday. It is created by what you choose to do today. Let your words inspire you, but let your actions define you. Speak with confidence, work with discipline, and remain consistent, even when no one is watching. When your words and your actions move in the same direction, you become unstoppable. People won't just hear your belief, they'll see it. And that's when real transformation begins. Real transformation is not measured by what you say for a few days. It is measured by the life you build over the months and years that follow. Anyone can feel inspired after hearing a powerful message. Anyone can speak positive words when everything is going well. But the true test of a new identity is whether your daily life begins to reflect the person you've been declaring yourself to be. Your habits, your decisions, your relationships, your attitude, and your priorities should all become evidence that you are no longer the same person you used to be. Too many people try to change their results without changing their identity. They want different outcomes while holding on to the same thinking, the same routines, and the same excuses. But lasting success always begins from the inside out. The moment your identity changes, your choices begin to change. And when your choices change consistently, your entire life starts moving in a new direction. You don't become successful because you occasionally do successful things. You become successful because success becomes part of who you are. Think about someone who decides to become healthy. If they only focus on losing weight, they'll probably quit once the excitement wears off. But if they begin seeing themselves as a healthy person, their decisions naturally start aligning with that identity. They choose better food because that's what healthy people do. They exercise because that's part of who they are. They protect their sleep because they value their well-being. Their actions are no longer forced. They flow from a new way of seeing themselves. The same principle applies to every area of life. If you see yourself as a disciplined person, you'll stop looking for shortcuts. If you believe you're a person of integrity, you'll keep your promises even when nobody is watching. If you identify as someone who creates value, you'll constantly look for ways to serve others instead of waiting for others to serve you. Your identity becomes the foundation upon which every decision is built. This is why you must be careful about returning to old habits and old environments that no longer match your future. Growth often requires separation. Sometimes it's separating from negative thinking. Sometimes it's separating from toxic relationships. Sometimes it's separating from habits that once felt comfortable but now keep you trapped. You cannot continue living exactly as you did yesterday and expect tomorrow to be dramatically different. New identity requires new standards. There will be people who won't understand your transformation. They may remind you of the person you used to be. They might laugh when you speak differently, think differently, or pursue bigger goals. Don't let their expectations become your limitations. People often become uncomfortable when they see someone refusing to remain the same. Keep growing anyway. You are not responsible for making others comfortable with your progress. You are responsible for becoming the person you were created to be. Gratitude should also become part of your new identity. A grateful person sees opportunities where others see obstacles. Instead of constantly complaining about what's missing, they appreciate what they already have while continuing to work for what they desire. Gratitude changes your perspective. It reminds you that every lesson has value, every challenge carries growth, and every new day is another chance to become better than you were yesterday. Another sign that your identity has truly changed is that you stop comparing yourself to everyone else. Comparison steals joy because it shifts your focus from your own progress to someone else's journey. Your assignment isn't to become a copy of another person. Your assignment is to become the best version of yourself. Celebrate the success of others, but remain committed to your own path. The only person you should compete with is the person you were yesterday. As you continue speaking life over yourself, remember that your environment matters. Surround yourself with people who challenge you to grow, books that expand your thinking, conversations that inspire action, and opportunities that stretch your abilities. A strong identity grows even stronger in the right environment. Protect your mind from constant negativity, because whatever you repeatedly allow into your life will eventually shape the person you become. Over the next 3 days, don't just practice speaking differently, practice living differently. Let your words influence your schedule. Let your beliefs shape your habits. Let your vision guide your decisions. Smile more. Learn more. Serve more. Forgive more quickly. Stay focused on your goals. Every small decision should reinforce the new identity you're building. Remember, greatness isn't revealed in one extraordinary act. It's revealed in thousands of ordinary actions performed with extraordinary consistency. One day, you'll look back and realize that the biggest change wasn't your income, your career, or your circumstances. The biggest change was you. You stopped speaking like a victim and started thinking like a victor. You stopped waiting for permission and started taking responsibility. You stopped allowing fear to define your future and began living with courage and purpose. That is what it means to build a life that reflects your new identity. So as you leave today, remember this simple truth. Your life will always move in the direction of the person you believe yourself to be. Choose that identity carefully. Speak it with confidence. Protect it with discipline. Strengthen it through repetition. Prove it with consistent action. Then keep building, one decision at a time, until the life you're living becomes undeniable evidence of the person you've become. Your words started the transformation, but your daily life will complete it. As we come to the end of this message, remember that the next 3 days could become the turning point of your life, not because something around you will suddenly change, but because something within you will. The greatest transformation doesn't begin with a new job, a new opportunity, or a new relationship. It begins with a new conversation. The words you speak to yourself today will become the beliefs you carry tomorrow, and those beliefs will shape the actions that determine your future. For the next 3 days, make a decision to guard your words. Every morning, speak life instead of limitation. Speak faith instead of fear. Speak purpose instead of excuses. When your mind tells you to quit, answer it with courage. When doubt tries to convince you that you're not enough, remind yourself that growth is a process, and every step forward matters. Refuse to become a prisoner of your past when your future is still waiting to be written. Don't just repeat positive words. Live them. Let every declaration be followed by disciplined action. Keep your promises to yourself. Show up when you don't feel like it. Stay committed when progress seems slow. Success doesn't belong to the most talented person. It belongs to the person who refuses to stop growing. Every small action you take is another vote for the person you're becoming. There will be difficult days. There will be moments when fear whispers louder than faith, when setbacks test your patience, and when quitting seems easier than continuing. But remember this, your circumstances do not define your identity. Your challenges do not determine your destiny. Every obstacle is an opportunity to prove that you've become stronger than the voice that once held you back. Years from now, people may look at your success and assume you were lucky. They won't see the mornings you chose discipline over comfort. They won't hear the conversations you had with yourself when no one else believed in you. They won't know how many times you stood back up after life knocked you down. But you will know. You'll know that everything changed the moment you stopped speaking defeat and started speaking purpose. So when you wake up tomorrow morning, don't ask yourself, what if I fail? Ask yourself, what if this is the day everything begins to change? Don't say, I hope I become successful someday. Say, today I will think, speak, and act like the person I'm becoming. Because the future you're praying for is built by the choices you make today. Always remember this. The voice you hear the most is your own. Make sure it's a voice that builds you instead of breaking you. Make sure it reminds you of your purpose instead of your problems. Make sure it pushes you toward your calling instead of pulling you back into your comfort zone. Talk to yourself like this for just 3 days, and don't be surprised if those 3 days become 3 weeks, then 3 months, then 3 years, until one day you wake up and realize you're living a life you once thought was impossible. Not because luck found you, not because someone rescued you, but because you changed the way you thought, the way you spoke, and the way you lived. Your future is listening. Now go and give it something powerful to hear.